Welcome back to Blue Ocean English and some more grammar on the moon. In today's video, we're going to look at modal verbs. I will show you what modal verbs are, why they're important. I'll give you examples of all of the modal verbs, and I'll show you how you can practice modal verbs in your world so that you can become fantastic at using modal verbs when you speak English. So first, let's look at what modal verbs are. So here you can see a list of the modal verbs. Many I'm sure you know, and some maybe not. Modal verbs are always followed by a main verb in what we call the bare infinitive. So not in the to form, just the verb. So for example, I must go, he will stay, you might eat. So go, stay, eat, just the verb on its own. This never changes, it's always 100% like this. And we also don't change the verb in the he, she or it form. So we don't use an S, so it's I must, he must, it must, they must, she must. Why is it important to learn modal verbs? There are lots of reasons that it's very useful and important to learn modal verbs. The first one is that really there's no grammar to learn. So you can learn when you're a beginner. All you need is to learn the modal verbs, and then if you know some verbs, you can begin to say many things. If you know the modal verbs and 50 main verbs, you can say thousands of things. They're also very flexible. So if you know how to use all of these modal verbs, you can say a big range of phrases in many different ways. And the rules are 100%. It's not normal in English to have rules that work. They're also important to use because we use them all the time. Everybody, every day uses modal verbs. Also, in English, it's not like French or Italian or Latin or many languages where there is a polite way of speaking and a friendly way of speaking. In English, we don't have this. Often, the way that we make something friendly or formal is with modal verbs. So they become very important. For example, if you're in a formal situation, using the correct modal verb in a formal or friendly situation is very useful and important. Now we're going to look at each verb. I will show you some examples of how you can use them and give you some examples of how you can go outside and practice using these modal verbs in your world. Because there are many modal verbs, I'm going to divide it into two. So we're going to do a group. I'll show you all the examples and then we'll do the second part. So the first verb we're going to look at, can and could. So can is a more friendly way of speaking, could is more polite, more formal. And we use can or could for ability, something that we're able to do, that we have the ability to do, or something that is a possibility, something possible. So can and could are used for ability and possibility. If I talk about myself, so for example, I can swim. I can speak Italian and French. You can speak English. And the negative, I cannot speak German. He can't swim. And then some questions. Can you swim? So here I'm asking about ability. Are you able to swim? Could you drive? This is a possibility. I'm asking, is it possible for you to drive? I could help you. Again, possibility. I'm telling you it is possible for me to help you. We also use can and could for permission. So I can say, you can use my pen. Or he can't come to Earth with us. Or could I use your pen? Now let's look at may. So may is a more formal version of can and could. So for example, we would use may in a very polite, formal situation. So with friends and family, may is not so normal. And like can and could, we use may for possibility or for permission. So some examples, I can say, you may leave now. You may not smoke here. Or a question, may we stay for another drink? And we also use may for possibility, so I can say, I may return to Earth soon. It may rain today. You may not watch all the video. And a question, may I have another drink? So asking a question with may is very formal. It's not normal to use with friends or family or even at work in a formal situation. It's like if you meet the Queen, you would speak that way. Now let's look at might. So might is one of the most common modal verbs, and we use it for possibility. If we say we might do something, it's something we're thinking about doing. It's possible that we do it. So for example, I might go to the cinema tomorrow. I'm not sure, maybe. Or I might not see you tomorrow. In the negative for might, it's not normal to use the short form. So it's very strange to say mightn't. And it's also not normal to ask questions with might. So really, we just use it in the positive and the negative forms and not the question. Next, we'll look at will. So will, again, a very common modal verb. We use it for a wish or an intention. So we use will for things that we want to do, our intentions. So for example, I will teach you English. You will learn something. He will not visit Earth. Or I can say he won't visit Earth. And a question, will you work tomorrow? The next modal verb on the list is would. So really we use would very, very often with the verb like. So would like. And we use it for a wish or a desire, something we want, just like will. So I can say, I would like an ice cream. They would like some chocolate. In the negative, I could say, they would not like to visit Earth. And the question, would you like a coffee? And the last modal verb in this group is shall. So shall, like will, is for an intention or a wish or a desire. And it's a bit more formal than will, but still very common. In the question form, it's a very common way to suggest something to someone, an idea you have. If there's something you think is a good idea that you want to do and you want to suggest to someone, shall is a very common way to do that with a question. So, some examples. I shall be leaving soon, or I shall not be going to Mars. So these two are very formal ways to speak. And then the question, shall we stay on the moon? So this is like, do you think it's a good idea to stay on the moon? Do you want to stay on the moon? Or shall we go to the cinema tonight? So it's a way of suggesting something to do. So that's the first group of modal verbs. Now I'm going to show you with a walking tour from YouTube how you can practice these phrases on your own so they become simple for you. This is a walking tour from New York. So if you go to YouTube, search walking tour New York City, you can find lots of videos like this. Here's a scene. So we're going to practice all of these modal verbs in the positive, negative and the question forms using what we can see and a bit of imagination. The first two were can and could. So remember, for ability, possibility or for permission. For ability, so I can say she can speak Spanish. I can see some flags. He can't swim. Can they speak English? And for possibility, she can buy some food. He could go to the park now. They cannot swim here. Can you see the baby? Now let's look at may. We'll use it with permission. So for example, they may buy food here. They may not smoke here. Or for possibility, it may rain soon. She may not buy food. She may not stay here long. And then if we look at might is for possibility. It, the food stall, it might close soon. She might buy more food. They might not go to the park. And then if we look at will, so for a wish or a desire, an intention, he will buy a drink. He will not buy a beer. Will she go to school tomorrow? And then with would, he would like more food. She would not like a drink. Would you like to be in New York City? And then the last modal verb in this group is shall. So remember, this is formal. So the building shall close at 5 p.m. It shall not open until tomorrow. And then in a question we use it for a suggestion. Shall I buy some food here or here? Now we're going to go to the south of France and to the Van Gogh Cafe, so I can show you how you can use these modal verbs in a cafe situation. Are you ready? Let's go! So here we are at the Van Gogh Cafe, and I'm going to show you how to use this first group of modal verbs with the positive, negative and question forms in a typical normal situation that you can find in your world. So the idea is you go outside, find a nice place, watch the world and think about ways to use modal verbs in your world, describing what you see and a little bit of imagination. So let's get started with the first two, can and could. Can and could, remember, is for possibility, ability, so things that are possible or things that you are able to do, and then also for permission, things that you're allowed to do. So I could say, I painted this, this is my painting, so I can make everything move around. I can change everything. I can move things around. He can sing very well. She can't play tennis. Can you play tennis? And then if we look at may, so may is a bit more formal than can and could. I may buy a beer, I'm not sure, it's possible. He may stop for a drink. We may not smoke inside the cafe, it's not allowed. And I can ask the waiter, may I sit down at this table? Is that okay? Is it free? Moving on to the next one, might. So might is for possibility. Something you might do is something possible. You're thinking about it. I might have a coffee now. She might be shopping. It, the horse, it might not be old. She might not like singing. Remember, it's very unusual to make questions with might. Now let's look at will. So will is for a wish or an intention, something that you intend to do in the future, that you want to do. I will go home after this drink. She will go to the bakery. He will not leave until 11 p.m. It, the horse, it will not stay here long. Will she work tomorrow? Will you come for a drink? Now let's look at would with like. So I could say, I would like an ice cream now. It, the horse, it would like an apple. She wouldn't like a coffee. Would you like a beer with me? And then the last one, shall. So shall is like will for a wish or an intention, but a bit more formal. I shall go home at 9 p.m. I shall not drink too many beers. Should we have some pizza with beer? So here, shall as a question is a suggestion. Shall we have a pizza? Should we have a coffee? It's like, would you like a coffee? Do you want a coffee? Is it a good idea to have a coffee? Okay, now we're back on the moon and we're going to look at the second part of modal verbs. So the first three we'll look at together: must, have to and need to. Now the grammar books will tell you, and most teachers will tell you, that must and have to are a bit stronger than need to. But if you're a native English speaker, for almost all of us, for me personally, for people I know, these three are all the same. so we use them in the same way. The negatives are a bit different, but the sense of these three words are all the same. So we use must, have to, or need to for something important, necessary, an obligation. An easy way to think about it is something where you don't have a choice. It's important to do something. We use it for rules or instructions, things that are important. So first we'll look at must. So we can say, I must work tomorrow. If I think about the planet Earth, it must not be destroyed. We must save it. It's unusual to ask a question with must. It's not really normal to ask a question using must. If we do ask a question with must, it's normally for something like questioning someone's behavior. If you're being very noisy, I could say, must you make that noise? And it's a way to complain about the noise you're making and say, please, can you stop? But it's not normal to ask a question with must. And then if we look at have to, don't forget with have to, it's an exception. For he, she, and it, we use has to. So I have to, you have to, she has to, it has to. So I can say, I have to leave now. Or she has to work tonight. For the negative, we use don't have to or doesn't have to for he, she, and it. So this is a bit strange. This doesn't mean something not important. When we say don't have to or doesn't have to, it means something that is not necessary. So it doesn't mean not important, it means not necessary. So for example, he doesn't have to go, he can stay. Or I don't have to stay, I can leave. So it's not necessary. Or I can say they don't have to work tomorrow. For the question, we use do or don't with have to. So do you have to work now? Does he have to walk a lot? Do they have to leave? And then with need to, I can say, I need to have a holiday. You need to learn English. And again, with the negative here, with need to, don't need to means something not necessary. She doesn't need to sleep. They don't need to move. Do you need to eat? Does she need to sleep? It doesn't mean not important, it means not necessary. So just to review, with must, need to, and have to, must not in the negative means it is important you do not. So you must not leave. It's important that you do not leave. Don't have to means it's not necessary. I don't have to work tomorrow means I can stay at home. And don't need to is also not necessary. I don't need to drink anything. I'm not thirsty. It's not necessary. The next two words we're going to look at are should and ought to. So first we'll look at should, and we use should for advice or for a suggestion. So when we're giving someone advice or suggesting something, should is a very common modal verb to use. And the idea of it means something that is a good idea. So if I say we should go to Mars, I'm saying I think it is a good idea to go to Mars. Or we shouldn't visit Pluto. I think it's a bad idea to visit Pluto. And then with a question, I can say, should we leave now or later? So I'm asking you, do you think it's a good idea to leave now? Should we leave now? And ought to is a word that many people do not learn. We use it a lot, but many students don't learn it. And it's just like should. It's a bit more formal, maybe a bit stronger in some situations, but still very common. And in my experience, it's not common to use in the negative or in the question form, just in the positive. And we use it just like should for advice or for a suggestion. So I could say, you ought to study more. I think it's a good idea for you to study more. I ought to eat more fruit. It's a good idea for me to eat more fruit. And then the last modal verb for today is used to. So used to is for something that is a repeated action in the past that we don't do now. So something that you did in the past but you don't do now. For example, when I was young, I used to play football, but now I'm too old. Or he used to live on Mars. Now he lives on the moon. The negative normally means the opposite. So something that you do now that you didn't do in the past. And because we're talking about the past, when we use the negative, it's did not. So I can say, I didn't used to eat healthy food, but now I do. In the past, I ate bad food, but now I eat good food. Or I can say, he didn't used to speak English, but now he does. And then for the question, we can say, did you used to play football? So when you were younger, did you play football? Or did they used to live on Mars? Like before, did they live on Mars? Now I'm going to show you with another walking tour picture, again from New York. And I'm going to show you how you can practice all of these modal verbs using some examples and a bit of imagination. So here we've got a scene from the walking tour of New York and one of the many nice little parks that you can find around New York. So the first words we'll use are must, have to and need to. So remember, these are all basically the same idea. They mean something important, an obligation. So for example, with must, I can say they must put their rubbish in the bin. They must not smoke in the park. And with have to, he has to work tonight. She doesn't have to work today. Do they have to clean the park often? They is the people responsible for cleaning, the government, the authority. And then need to, she needs to go to Spain tomorrow. It doesn't need to work during the day. It is the lamp. Do they need to clean the park? Again, they are the people responsible, the government, the park authority. Then if we look at should and ought to is a good idea, something that is a good idea. So they should paint the benches. Again, they is the park authority. They should paint the benches bright yellow, maybe. Or he shouldn't wear shorts, it's cold today. He should wear trousers. Or I could say, should they change the flowers? Should they put more flowers? And with ought to, I can say, he ought to buy an umbrella. It's going to rain, so it's a good idea to buy an umbrella. Or she ought to finish eating. She has to return to work. It's a good idea for her to finish her food so she's not late for work. And then the last modal verb for today is used to. So I can say, he used to play baseball, but not anymore, when he was younger. Or she used to work in Paris when she was younger. Now she works in New York. And the negative, I didn't used to like New York, but now I love it. And a question, did you used to travel much when you were young? Now we're going to go to the south of France and to the Van Gogh Cafe, so I can show you how you can use these modal verbs in a cafe situation. Are you ready? Let's go! The first modal verbs in this group, must, have to and need to. So remember, I said these basically all mean the same. Something that is important for you to do, something where you don't have a choice. So for example, I could say the cafe, it must close at 11 p.m. I must leave before 11 p.m. I must not go to bed late. And remember, we don't normally ask a question with must. And then with have to, I have to pay at the end of the evening. She has to go home soon. Remember, for the negative with have to, it means not necessary. They don't have to order food. He doesn't have to work tomorrow. Do you have to work tomorrow? Does she have to pay now? And then the next one, need to. She needs to eat something. She's very hungry. He doesn't need to go to school tomorrow. It's Saturday. Do you need to work tomorrow? Does she need to pay now? And then with should, so should is a good idea, a good thing to do. We use it for suggestions. I should give the waiter a nice tip. He should go and meet his wife. They shouldn't order another drink. They should leave now. Should we sit down and order a drink? And ought to. So ought to is just like should. We don't use it in the negative or the question, only the positive. So again, it's something that is a good idea. He ought to move. It, the horse, it ought to rest. I ought to sit down. I'm tired. And the last modal verb in this group, used to. So remember, used to is a repeated action in the past. It's something that you do not do now. So something you did before, but you don't do now. I used to visit this cafe a lot, but now I don't have time. He used to be a doctor, but now he's retired. He stopped working. And in the negative, we use didn't used to. So she didn't used to like coffee, but now she loves it. It, the door, it didn't used to be blue. Before, it was red. Did you used to do sport when you were young? Did she used to live in Spain? That's everything for the second group of modal verbs, and that's the end of today's lesson. So, don't forget to go outside or watch a walking tour and practice modal verbs until they're very, very easy for you and that you can use them all without thinking, without mistakes, and then you'll be ready to move on. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again next time. Here we are, just another typical English summer day. Just before I go, it's just me doing everything here at Blue Ocean English. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more, please don't forget to leave a comment. Maybe you have an idea for a video or a nice background picture that you'd like to see, or share this video with a friend. The best way for you to say thank you is to hit the like and subscribe buttons and check out my merchandise, all the nice things you can buy, t-shirts, hats. You can also check out our great books on Amazon. There's 3 phrasal verb books, An Ocean of English phrasal verbs, each book with 200 examples, a lovely picture and 3 clear examples of how we use each phrase. And then 3 books for idioms. They're called An Ocean of English Idioms. Also 3 books with 600 idioms, 200 in each book, all with a picture and 3 clear examples of how we use each idiom. Thank you very much for watching, and wherever you are, try to feel English today.
Ice age to the dull age, there is but one concern I have just discovered. Some girls are bigger than others. Some girls are bigger than others. Some girls' mothers are bigger than other girls' mothers. Some girls are bigger than others. Some girls are bigger than others. Some girls' mothers are bigger than other girls' mothers. As Antony said to Cleopatra as he opened a crater veil, oh, I say, some girls are bigger than others. Some girls are bigger than others. Some girls' mothers are bigger than other girls' mothers.